Welcome to P3 Radio.
The monkey only dances as good as the guy grinding the organ handle.
Brother.
I fly, bro. That is never stopping.
Truck goes to Dwayne.
Cool story, bro.
Footy pajamas.
Hey, genius, it's 2 p.m. Central.
PG3 Radio.
Here's your host, Josh Friday.
Get him off big, Freddy. Get him off big.
Richard Mullican.
And as I put you down, my pants ripped.
It's showtime! It's showtime! It's showtime!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of P3 Radio. I'm Richard Mullican, joined by my co-host, the man that had to fight for his right to party, and best friend Josh Briley. Say hey, Josh.
I have been at the Boogie Woogie Dance Hall for the last 12 minutes. I've been waiting on your ass. Where are you at, Richard Lee?
Well, I'm right here for episode 152. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a barn burner for you today. We have somebody on today that we have, I'm sure we've wanted to have him on our show as long as we've had a show, right?
Day one.
And he's somebody that we looked up to. He's a 9-time NWA Tag Team Champion and a Hall of Famer. One half of the Rock and Roll Express, Mr. Ricky Morton.
Wow. I'm going to tell you something, man. And I've told you the story off air, but, dude, Ricky Morton and Wildfire Tommy Rich are the first wrestlers I ever remember. I was like 4 years old. Remember being in front of the mirror and impersonating and just getting all wrapped up into that. So this is, it's like meeting Superman or something, dude.
Yeah.
I'm so nervous right now. You couldn't stuff an angel hair up my ass.
So what did the mirror promo sound like when you did it?
Well, I was 4, so I probably wasn't formulating words.
Just
like
drop kicking it mostly.
In the bathtub.
I had to have a mirror so it looked like I had a friend to do the double drop kick.
Yeah, I didn't know you yet, so I didn't have any friends.
I remember, it's odd that you say that because when we were kids, when we were 6, 7, 8 years old, this was before they said don't try this at home.
Oh yeah.
That's
when Terry Gordy was all you kids out there, get your friend, try this on them. Like he said that one time. It was a sleeper hole. Imagine that.
But yeah, I mean, I was going to say I'm pretty sure they were just like, yeah, give it a shot, see what happens. He'll learn. That was the generation we grew up in, the he'll learn generation.
Right.
Let him do it. He'll learn.
What a glorious time because, I mean, I think after the he'll learn phase, it ended up into the spoon-fed phase, and you see where we're at now.
Whew. But yeah,
God bless him.
Ricky Morton's going to be on the show. And like I said, I remembered in the he'll learn phase, we had those wrestling buddies, those WWF wrestling buddies, and we were leaning them up against my fence, and me and you were practicing double drop kicks on them. And I remember this very vividly about you giving me crap because I couldn't hit the drop kick. My fat, tubby Bemis self could not get the air. Like I looked your size, I was like a year and a half younger, and I couldn't get the drop kick down, and you were like, do it right, and I'm like, my back hurts. This ground's hard as hell, Josh. But yeah, I mean, so the double drop kick,
I was just trying to make you better.
Yeah. If I didn't get that drop kick, I wasn't going to get into school. But no, man, the Rock and Roll Express have been like just staples. I mean, you ask anybody around, they know who the Rock and Roll Express is.
Well, that's the thing about it. Like if you had to just pinpoint one tag team and say this is what a tag team is all about, like from just what their ring work, the psychology though, that's what a lot of today is missing. There's a few tag teams that have it, but dude, they're on another level back then. And I think if you was to look in the dictionary and it said tag team wrestling, it would be Ricky and Robert's picture right there.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, like I said, one of the most world-renowned, I mean, even Arn Anderson, on Arn Anderson's podcast, I was listening to that the other day, and he got asked the question, in their prime, who was the tag team that you would want to face with you and Tully? And he said, hands down, the Rock and Roll Express. He's like, that'd be just like a night off. He was like, those guys were just so smooth. And so you hear it from not just us, not from just wrestling fans. I mean, even older people that watched wrestling back in the day that might not follow WWE's crowd now, they know who They know who Ricky Morton is. You know what I mean? And actually, I plugged this interview on the radio this week. And I called in because I call in all the time to the local station, and I called in and was talking to him. I said, "Yeah, we're interviewing Ricky Morton this week, and we're going to talk." So some old school wrestling fans from around here might want to check it out because Ricky Morton, he doesn't do a lot of interviews around here. So I mean, we always have the Lawlers, the Dundees, but Ricky Morton was a big name for a long time, and yeah, it sparked a good 20-minute conversation from just the guys on the radio talking about wrestling and talking about the Rock and Roll Express and then Memphis. And
those guys, like you said, they don't follow current product. They hadn't watched wrestling in 20, 25 years.
Right.
But they still remember Ricky and Robert.
Well, there's a reason for that, and it was because, like I said, Ricky was one of the best workers out there. Robert was no slouch either. He was really good. So when you put those guys together in a tag team, I mean, it was just magical.
Peanut butter and jelly, baby.
Yeah. So, we're excited. We're going to have him on in just a few minutes. Josh, big show last week. Our numbers went up. I guess people like bridges and baseball.
I know I do.
Yeah.
I mean,
next week we're going to have Gene Jackson on. We're racing right now to get a bunch of content put together and put out at a time, so we're going to be ahead of schedule.
Why are we racing?
Well, because I'm going to be going on vacation at some point in July.
And that's your third vacation this year?
No, this is the first one.
I knew I'd seen a couple $100 bills in the yard. You just fucking lost. It don't matter to you, huh?
No, this is our first vacation, but we're trying to stockpile shows. So next week,
you're a liar.
No,
you are a liar.
No,
you literally went on vacation last week.
We
to
went
Chattanooga.
on a weekend trip
To Chattanooga, which is like 5 fucking hours away. You spent at least 3 days there. That is a vacation.
2 days.
You went to the mountains.
Yes.
So going to the mountains.
That doesn't count. We're going on a beach trip.
Oh, okay.
That's like
Since
a
there's
week
water,
long. This isn't just a weekend. We're taking a whole week off, and we're going and spending a weekend at the beach. A week at the beach.
Y'all gonna have a tent there, or what y'all doing?
I'll probably bring a tent.
Okay. Hotel? What hotel are you gonna stay at?
No,
the Hilton
condo.
It's
a condo.
Oh goddamn! Not even a hotel. Who am I fooling talking about hotels with your ass?
Yeah. So
rich people that stick together, huh?
So we're trying to get all these shows built up. But next week we'll have Gene Jackson on.
I'm super excited,
and that'll be fun to dip into some comedy stuff. But man, really excited about this week and our guest who is on the line right now. So Josh, we need to do this right here real quick, okay? But first, Josh, we got to sell some shirts. We desperately need to sell some shirts. And what better place to buy a shirt than teespring.com, and do that by going to our link, tinyurl.com/P3radiotees. That's tinyurl.com/P3radiotees. And that's going to take you over to teespring.com, and there are going to be a whole range of shirts that you're going to find there, including our logo shirt. Josh, you were saying your favorite shirt was the 80s style shirt?
Dude, I'm legit going to get me a pair of Zubaz to pair with this shit. Get me some badass sunglasses. And I'm going to go out on the town. And I'll tell you what, the next purchase I'm going to buy is the ECW-inspired P3 Radio t-shirt, man. That shirt is absolute badass.
We also have the Truck Goes to Dwayne shirt.
No,
we also have Freddy's Front Yard Slaughterhouse. All of these are inspired by shows that we've done in the past. Go over there now, tinyurl.com/P3radiotees. Pick up a shirt today. Help us out. Help out local struggling artists and local struggling podcasters like ourselves. P3 Radio Tees. tinyurl.com/P3radiotees. Teespring, the home of P3 Radio shirts. Welcome back to P3 Radio. Josh, they say you should never meet your heroes, the people you look up to, because they're going to let you down. Well, right now, we have someone on the phone that we have looked up to since we were like 7, 8 years old, and I don't think that's going to apply here. He is a 9-time NWA Tag Team Champion. He's a WWE Hall of Famer, regarded as one of the best to ever put on a pair of wrestling boots. He owns the School of Morton, and he's broken attendance records, hotel rooms, beds all over the world. He's one of the nicest guys I have ever met in the business. Ladies and gentlemen, from Nashville, Tennessee, one half of the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton. Mr. Morton, thank you for joining us today on P3 Radio.
Man, it's a great pleasure to be on here. And God, you just sparked my memory when you said to meet one of your heroes. See, that is the worst thing in the world to ever do. It's just it's on my mind. Now, you guys, you got to listen. I'm like a rubber ball bouncing around. Look, squirrel. No, but dude, when I was 16 years old, my high school sweetheart worked for her daddy at downtown Printers Alley, a place called the Carousel. And after school, I'd go wash glasses and for the bar that night before they opened up. And they opened up that day, and I'm sitting there, and my greatest hero in the world walked in, Johnny Bench.
Oh, wow.
I was a big Cincinnati Reds fan, and Johnny Bench walked in, and gosh, he was sitting at the table, and my girlfriend, she says, "Would you go get his autograph for me?" And I went to get his autograph for him, and you would have thought I asked him to cut his left nut off. He looked at me, "But I can't believe it." And then he wrote something on a piece of paper and slid it to me, and I wadded it up and threw it back in his face. And excuse my language. I told him, I said, "Dude, I didn't want it that fucking bad." So, he jumped up mad, and he tried to get me fired from my job, but they kicked him out of the bar. Sure, they told him to get his ass out of there. You know what? And when that happened to me then, I told myself that I would never be like that if I ever got in a position to be somebody famous. And I had, you know, man, it's one thing, I'm an old country boy, and I understand, man, without our fans, I mean, none of us could even entertain. None of us could even wrestle. None of us could do nothing without our wrestling fans. And if any of you out there listening, and that's from my heart, if I ever did anything to you, I wake up on the wrong side of the bed sometimes too. But if I did, I'm sorry.
Well, what do you think about baseball coming back for a 60-game season this year?
Man, dude, anything. Gosh almighty, anything for entertainment. Are they letting crowds in or just empty places?
Josh, you know more about baseball than me. What do you have you heard?
I can't wait. That means if baseball's coming back, or football's coming back. So, man, I can't wait till pro football starts back up. My wife is a big Brady fan.
Oh, yeah.
Man, we had New England stuff. She does everywhere, and then over the last month, it's changed to Tampa Bay. I just don't know what's going on, but it's really cool, man.
So, whenever you talked about being younger, who were some of your favorite wrestlers growing up?
Some of my favorite wrestlers, God, man, in those days, that area, everybody loved Jackie Fargo. Everybody, one of my great mentors. And the guy that I thought was the most underrated wrestler ever in the business was Ken Lucas. A lot of people will tell me, "Ricky Morton, you're the greatest baby face in the world." No, Ken Lucas was. That's who I learned from. And I guess you guys being from the Jackson, Tennessee area, I hope you know who Ken Lucas is. Do you?
Yeah, he was. He started wrestling almost in the 50s or like early 60s or something like that.
Yeah, he started wrestling in the 60s. Yeah, him and
seen his name
a lot
on a
of
bunch
them did. He was a big draw for Ken Luke. I mean, for Dick Goulas, the Pensacola territory, the Phil brothers, out in Kansas City for Buck Robley. I mean, but he was actually one of the better workers that. He taught me so much, man. I just can't I just can't tell you how much that I loved him. And everything. He was just a great worker.
Well, I remember seeing his name on a bunch of programs and stuff, that family would have and stuff, but I didn't get to honestly see a lot of his work. It's kind of one of them things where Babe Ruth, you just read about him and how great he was and stuff like that. But yeah, I seen where you
know
tagged.
what? And I met I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you're good.
I'm
You're
not
good.
doing this interview of you, but I met a lot of people especially in the wrestling business, buddy, and it's really cool to understand. And when you really meet people, I had the pleasure to meet Alice Cooper. I just couldn't believe. I remember my first concert I ever went to in Nashville at the Municipal Auditorium. I sat on the front row, my first concert I ever been to, and still the greatest one I ever been to. It's called Welcome to My Nightmare, Alice Cooper.
Wow.
And I couldn't believe this. And you see all the stuff he did, and his face painted, and you do this. And then when I met him, he's real religious. I didn't even know that. But he's a good guy.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely phenomenal. And I had a great time spending that day with him. And not long ago, man, I was up in New York. And it's funny how people know us like we know them. I was walking down a thing, and they had the guys up there that are fixing the sign. I heard somebody go, Rick and Morton. And I turned around. It was Randy Moss and Joe Montana.
Oh, wow.
Holy shit.
And we stopped and, bull crap with them for a few minutes. But, man, this business is so good. I mean, to meet people like that, and I don't know how we got on this subject, but I told you, buddy, squirrel.
Well, Randy Moss was from the North Carolina area. He has a more southern accent than I do, and
Randy Moss is from West Virginia.
He's from West Virginia, but didn't he play at Marshall?
He's up there by Huntington, West Virginia. He played for Marshall.
So you were probably all over his TV when he was younger and watching wrestling.
Yes, sure did. He's from. Randy played in a little town right outside of Charleston, but he got a scholarship to Marshall, and man, he was one of those phenomenal players you ever met. You know who else I met? Man, my hero, and he's still my hero. He's Superman. That's Deion Sanders.
Oh wow!
Hell yeah!
And it's really. I mean, I can't explain it to you because that's when I worked for Ted Turner.
Yeah,
and he played. Baseball for the Braves at the time. He's the only guy I know that played a baseball. Let's see, what did he do? He played a football game in the afternoon and played, I think, in the World Series that night. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
But there was a big to-do about it at the time, I believe, where they were, how can you let him go play play football
and then come play
when we're
baseball
in the World Series? I'm a huge Braves fan. I remember the hoopla about that back in '95.
Yes, but what I was saying is to understand how people, athletes they are, I mess with them the whole time down on the field. I'm just messing with them. I'm wanting to race him because he's fast, and I was pretty fast in my younger days, but I just kept messing with him. Man, all right, you're going to race me from home to first, right? But when they said go and I raised up, he done passed first base. Hey, I'm serious.
Wow.
I mean, I never thought a human being in my life could run that fast.
Yeah, I think he ran like a 4.240. Yeah, he was like a speedster.
I don't know. He ran 100 mile an hour is the way I look.
Guys.
Man, let's go.
You guys were like rock stars. You were rock stars. You were wrestling's rock stars, and I know in Smoky Mountain, there's Chris Jericho's talked about getting gifts from people that were a little unusual. What would you say the strangest interaction with a fan or the strangest gift you ever gotten from a fan was?
Well, you know what, man? You're asking me right off the bat because there's not just one, there's 10,000. And to go to the first thing, what you just said, and believe it or not, guys, Robert and I were actually more than rock stars.
Oh yeah.
We broke, and I'm going to tell you, I'm just not sitting here bragging on myself because this is a different time, a different era when wrestling just changed. Tag team wrestling come in, and we had videos, even in Louisiana. Dude, at that time, this is before all the big auditoriums that you have now. I'm talking about your 30,000 and 25,000 people. I know that, we broke every Elvis Presley record in attendance right off the bat. And then we had to start to go outside. A lot of the shows that we ran, we had to go out in football stadiums, high school football stadiums, and college football stadiums. I know when I did the angle with Flair in Charlotte, we wrestled at the Coliseum there in Charlotte, and I think it held 12,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes, it sold out. So Jim Crockett moved out on the college football field. I mean, and Flair and I drew 40,000 people.
Wow.
That night. Now, but see, I've been to concerts, and I was in Charlotte, and me and my wife was off that day, and John Cougar was playing, and we wrestled in Charlotte the night before it, in the Coliseum. But it was a different time in Valley. But by the time we was there, it sold out. And John Cougar was singing, and it was about a quarter full. And the first thing he said when he walked out, he says, "I want to know who in the hell the Rock and Roll Express are that sold this building out last night." And oh yeah, and it was really cool when he said that. Had a lot of time, but we were, dude. You just couldn't even believe some of the stuff that we got to see. But people giving me stuff, man. I have them give me, all the jewelry, Rolex watches. I don't know. What did Chris Jericho say when somebody gave me something? He was with us a while.
Well, he said they gave him something. It was a tape, and it was just like 25 minutes of the most redneck stuff he'd ever seen in his life, and it was just a family talking to him basically. But it was just 25 minutes worth of that. And he said it was just strange that somebody just walked up and gave it to him, and they said they loved him the whole time. Like, "We love you, Chris Jericho. Here's us doing a cartwheel."
Oh,
just
oh yes. I mean, that's cool though. Down south is different, bud. You live in Tennessee.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I live over here in the eastern section now. I live in Bristol. Matter of fact, me and my wife right now, we have a fifth wheeler out here at the lake,
mm-hmm. and
we like staying out here, us and our dogs. But people are different here.
Oh yeah.
They and don't get me wrong, I understand all the problems in the world. But sometimes if you just sit down and talk about it, it works out a whole lot better. Yeah, sometimes it does.
Oh yeah.
Except for me and my wife, I can't whoop her, man. You hear me? We've been together 30-something years. We done had loser leave town, case matches, pull apart.
Anybody get their head shaved?
Oh, I always have to do the job, but it's I don't have a choice. I'm just kidding. All right, man.
So early on, I remember seeing that you tagged a lot with Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, one of my personal favorites. Do you have any good Eddie stories that you could share?
I'll tell you a great Eddie story. Eddie, I got Eddie. I was working for Leroy McGurk out in Oklahoma, and Eddie just turned 18. He was in Memphis working for a while, but you're young, and at that time, there's no way you're ever going to get over Lawler and Dundee. You better off winning the lottery. But you have to go learn. And you know what? Memphis was the greatest wrestlers in the world come out of Memphis, Tennessee. Oh, yeah. The greatest ones ever at that time. But Eddie, I got Eddie to come out to be my tag team partner. And we really did good. And Eddie, he lived me and my wife lived in an apartment over by the university, but he lived closer to town in a little bitty house behind the house. You understand what I'm saying? It's like a mother-in-law house.
Right.
He lived in, and Eddie was real spooky. So he went to watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and he was telling me he's going to see it. Boy, he gets spooky as hell when he done that, and I knew he was going to go watch it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had a chainsaw, So I went over there to his little house right beside his window, and I fired that chainsaw up right outside his window, and all I heard was kaboom, ba-boom, and the front door slammed. And all I see was Eddie's ass running across that parking lot down the road. He was madder than hell at me.
Oh man,
That's good shit.
I wonder how he reacted later on when Doug did he was the Freddy Krueger guy, but they had the Texas Chainsaw guy that was in Japan as well. Was he was just
well, that was Leatherface.
Yeah, the Leatherface gimmick.
Yeah, no, back then it was all right. I'm just talking about hell. He wasn't 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, the business, gimmick wise, it's a lot different. I'm just talking about he's out there in that house by himself. I scared the hell out of him. He talked about that all the time when I used to see him.
Well, you talked about that. That was a really good rib. Who would you say the best ribbers were in the business?
Man, there wasn't nobody compete with Owen Hart.
Oh yeah.
Owen Ruthless. I tell you, I loved Owen. Don't get me wrong. I mean, a lot of people pulled a lot of ribs, but it wasn't a real bad ones. But Owen would get you every now and then. If you keep your guard up, he would get you. He never got me, but I seen him get Sergeant Slaughter and a bunch of them, especially at the motels, calling down front, being the front desk, and telling me going to throw my rings. I'll be sitting there, Sergeant Slaughter come around that corner. I mean, just raising hell at them people. Man, I put my credit card. I think he's on this credit card. And they got all over him and a lot of stuff like that. But, over the years, I've seen mean ribs where it wasn't a rib. They just, people were mean. I've seen them put doo-doo in their bags, in their shoes, stuff like that. I didn't see who done it,
right?
But they did it to somebody else while I was in the dressing room. It wasn't me. So, man, I got along with the boys.
Right.
Really good. I never had no problem with any of the boys. Everybody thought me and Kevin Nash did, but we drew a $72,000 house. The biggest payoff I ever had in my life.
Wow.
You hear me? So, no. So that worked out pretty cool. And, but other than that, no.
Well, let's say money is not a factor in this question. Just whatever you got to make, you'll make it with either of these guys. Who would you rather work for, Bill Watts or Jerry Jarrett?
Bill Watts. Okay.
Is that
I got to give a reason why?
is that just because his philosophy on wrestling, or
no? Jerry Jarrett was a smart guy. See, Jerry Jarrett drew money in his business, and this is what I try to tell. Dude, I have a wrestling school. I have a great wrestling school. If you get a chance, it comes on every Sunday. It's your time. It's Central Time, your time. It'd be 4:05, but it comes on 5:05 here on Eastern Time. School of Morton on YouTube. Guys, I have great ratings for a YouTube show.
Oh yeah,
and I don't bring in superstars. All my superstars are made at my school, and they're really good. You hear me? The gimmicks I give them, the things I put on them. I learned a lot from Jerry Jarrett. I don't know if you know, Jerry Jarrett wasn't the best worker in the world, but what he could do was sell. See, selling in our business, and I'm going to bounce around here.
Oh, that's fine.
Follow what I'm talking about. People ask, Ricky Morton, you've been 9-time World Tag Team Champions. Yes, but I didn't want to be the champions. Even though, don't get me wrong, the first time we won them was a great mark in our life. But you see, the people pay to see me and Robert win the belts. They don't pay to see us lose them. Did you see selling, giving a hot tag to Robert Babom, and Jimmy Cornette always screwed us. You understand me?
Yes, sir.
But then the next show we'll come back where he can't screw us like that. But he'll screw us another way. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what people don't understand. and a baby face selling. Now look at Hulk Hogan. You ever see him do a moonsault? You ever see him dive out of the ring?
Not on purpose.
Well, hell no, you didn't. But one thing you did see him do was sell. No matter who, he sold and ripped that shirt off, and the damn roof come off the building.
I think he even sold in that Bubba the Love Sponge video.
that lasted 30 seconds.
Yeah, he was selling.
Yeah, I got you. I'm just kidding, man.
Me too.
I'm just kidding. But but that's the thing of our business. Even though, I run my wrestling school and I go and we're on a lot of shows. And I hate it too, because now I'm telling the promoters, I said, listen, man, I'll come in and work for you, but I'm going on before intermission. And I'm not trying to be mean, but if you go on 10th or 11th, they done did 17 dive out of the rings, 47 hurricane Coronas. They done shot Hugo out of the cannon 3 times. And he kicked out on one.
Right.
You know what? And it's just, the people get tired of it. You understand me? So being on the main event, which I can do because that's my specialty. But, I don't give a shit. I go on last, tear the house down, because even though I'm 64 years old. And the reason why is because I know what I'm doing.
Right.
Half the guys don't know what they're doing. I mean, nowadays, man, the guys go back there in the back. They go over their damn match for 3 hours, and then they go out there and it's ain't but an 8-minute match, and it sucks because it looks like it's staged, and it does. It is staged.
Right.
It looks like it's staged. And if you learn how to say, I just talked to I think he trains down there for Burt. He did. He's a state trooper out of Bob, Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
And he showed me a tape. I was in Arkansas then on a Saturday night, and he showed me a tape. And I just told him, I said, let me ask you something, because he asked me, what did I think about it? I says, okay, you're a state trooper. In real life, if this happened, would you do that being a state trooper? He says, well, hell no. I says, that's what you got to learn. You got to make it look like it's real. You got to make it look like, see, when I sold, if I can make the guy on the front row believe that I was, hell, even the guy I was wrestling, make him believe that I'm really hurt. What do you think them people out there at TV are thinking, or the ones up here in the crowd? And that's the reason they came back every week. Robert and I didn't sell towns out once a year. We sold them out every damn week. I know times are different. You got a lot more stuff and that's going on, but still at that time and point, they believed in what we did and the talent on our show. The talent. They believed in what they did. I have people all the time ask me, who's the greatest guy you ever been in the ring with? I said, hell, they all was great. Even the job boys were great. They might not have the body on them, but they knew how to work.
Right.
But I will say this. Ric Flair was the greatest world champion of all time. He was the greatest, but the greatest worker, and I'm serious, Jerry Lawler's the greatest worker I've been in the ring with.
Oh, wow.
Okay?
Yeah. Now,
he is. Okay.
I was going to say, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I was going to ask, you were talking about the tag teams today. Well, in your opinion, who do you think is the best tag team right now? Like some of the better tag teams that do it the right way. Is there anybody out there?
Yeah, there's a few out there. The Revival, they're real good.
Yeah, definitely.
And I got and in my boys, Matt and Jeff Hardy. They're my buddies. They're my boys. And even though people don't like them, the Young Bucks are great. The Young Bucks got their own stuff over. You hear me?
Definitely.
They didn't go to no big companies. They did it the hard, and they did. And my hat's off to those guys. But I know there's some other tag teams out there. But you asked me the ones I thought. That's my top 3: the Revival, the Matt and Jeff Hardy, then the Revival, then the Young Bucks. I like them all. People can knock them. You know, I listen to other podcasts, and people have some stuff to say, but truly in heart, they just trying to get ratings. These guys are all great. Okay.
Right.
Well, you said something about the Young Bucks there. I saw this funny thing, the skit that you and Robert did on Being the Elite about the spray tan, where y'all were acting like you were the Young Bucks and you were going to go get your spray tan. That was hilarious. And like I said, if nobody's seen that, I can't remember what episode it is, but I want to say it was when they came through Tennessee.
That was up in, we did that in,
was that Charleston?
Hold on for a minute. I can tell you, Charleston, West Virginia.
Yeah, that was Charleston then. Yeah. Hilarious.
That was just my first night there. They threw me through the damn table. Through the stage.
The stage, yeah. I mean, it looked brutal.
But you know what? And I'm glad you just said that, because, you know, dude, you being over, and this is one tag team I forgot about. And to me, they're the greatest heel tag team right now. It's Santana and Ortiz for AEW.
Oh, yeah.
They're the one that really got us over. We hadn't been, we worked for Joey Janela, some vacation thing, WrestleMania in New York. And them two guys is who we wrestled there. And, you know, I don't keep up with hard, and I don't know. And see me, I don't go over stuff in the back. And these guys just come off TNA. It's my fault because I didn't do no. But ever since then, I've done research on people in the bigger organizations to know who we wrestling.
Right. Because
it was my mistake. But we went out and wrestled these guys. And holy shit, they were great. I just couldn't believe. You know, that was the first time I did the Canadian Destroyer.
Oh, yeah.
And somebody goes, God, Ricky Morton, you did a Canadian Destroyer. I says, no. Santana told me to come off his partner's back and sunset flip him and hold on. And if you watch the tape, when I hold on, I stand up and I'm looking, and you can see my mouth. I'm going, what the fuck was that? What was it? And it really got us over. And Santana didn't remember. And you know what? Now that I'm not saying that, AEW, they have the greatest heel team.
Oh, yeah.
In the world, and they do. These guys are actually phenomenal. Their talk, the way they act, and just got to say that to them, man. These guys, they got a big future still ahead of them. You know, even definitely. After AEW, but they'll probably be there to the end of times because they're great.
Definitely. So, a couple of years ago when we were just getting started doing this show, we had Kid Cash on, and he said that, you had helped him a lot early on, and he even filled in for Robert in times, whenever, I don't know if you and Robert had separated for extended period or whatever, but he said he would actually tag team with you as the Rock and Roll Express. Was there something that happened that kind of pushed you and Robert away at that point in time, or
no? Robert worked for Ohio Valley.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right.
He was training at Ohio Valley. I think up there with Danny Davis.
Yeah.
I
completely forgot about that.
And they offered me a job there, but I wasn't ready to go there. You hear me?
Right.
No, buddy, I was ready. I liked what I was doing, and on it, and right now, dude, I'm 64 years old. I make more money now than I make my life.
Hell yeah.
And I'm serious. Not by being big companies. I educated myself.
Right.
And the only reason, and I really push this. My son's wanting to be a wrestler, which he's really good already, Kerry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But see, I'm telling him, I said, dude, you're 19 years old. I know you want to be a wrestler. You want to do this, but we're going to get our education first. We're going to go to college. And I says, you still have plenty of time. And in our bigger companies, a college education goes a long way. because there's a lot more to do than take bumps. You know, I mean, there's a lot more money behind the scenes than normally that's in the ring.
Right.
And I'm really serious. If you got that part, you know, and he's got a good head on his shoulder. He writes a lot of stuff. Does a lot of stuff at our school. And, you know, and me and him are teaming up a lot right now. You know, Robert and I have been partners for 38 years, you know, the Rock and Roll Express. So we're still out there. But, you know, it's beginning to be the Rock and Old Express. So, and I'm not trying to be mean, but, you know, it's time for me to, I still got a lot to learn, teach my son before I send him out.
Right.
And to do that. But, you know, in our business these days, you know, your Comic-Cons, your personal appearances, you know, especially in this downtime when you depend on wrestling for a living and there's no entertainment.
Right.
You know, it's a lot of other stuff. You know, I learned a lot of other things, and my son showed me a lot of other things to do to how to make a living, and it's not the frustration of traveling. You know, I drove. I was down in Pocahontas last Friday, not far from y'all,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was over in the Parago, Arkansas.
Yep.
And that drive home. Damn, I just got over it yesterday. You know,
It's a long drive.
and I'm serious. But before this happened, you know, it wasn't. It was just another day at the office. But being home for 3 or 4 months, holy shit, man! I drove all the way home. I got home at 7 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, and I had school at school, and you know, but it didn't bother me till like Monday and Tuesday is when it really stuck its foot up my behind. You know, I'm just God.
Well, when I was wrestling, I worked a guy that was going to get color at the end of the night, and he had tucked his gig away under his wrist tape on his fingers, so under his finger tape, and we had our match. He did his thing. He got jumped. They got color, whatever. But as I was driving home that night, I noticed my arm was itchy. And I was just like, man, that's weird. So I got home and I pull all my gear out of the bag to wash it. I noticed my elbow pad is sliced all the way down the middle. And when I look at my arm has a cut on it about 5 inches long going to where my elbow pad was, and it ripped the elbow pad. And I'm thinking, wow, I'm glad that didn't really cut me bad, that he didn't have it. Have you ever heard of a story where somebody's blade got, you know, away from them, or they swallowed it or something like that?
I'll tell you stories that I do. No, I see Michael Hayes. First time he ever taped his finger. You know, Michael Hayes had no concept. Nobody else was in the ring with him. You know, you be standing beside him, and he just spin around and slap you upside the face. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
He just had no concept. But I seen him one time. Yeah, he got to tape a blade to his finger, and he cut Don Fargo up like a son of a bitch. But listen to me, dude. Later on in my life, see, wrestling's no joke, no game.
Right.
And it's not about no woman. It's not about... and I tell guys all the time about want me to watch their match. If you want to impress me, eat an apple and shit a fruit salad. Because other than that, I done seen it all.
Right.
And I don't know. But now I want you to tell me. And I'm sorry, I'm not telling. I don't want you to tell me, but I'm going to tell everybody out here. Right. I have a lot of scars on my head. A lot of blood drip from my head for reasons that nowadays the boys don't have a damn clue about.
Right.
They don't understand why they're there. And the reason it is the way we fed the boys. We didn't have contracts. And let me tell you, dude, I worked on top. And working on top, the whole territory depends on you. And I did that in 4 territories, different ones, that Robert and I completely popped. Getting color is not a joke and not a game. Not long ago, I walked into a dressing room. There's a guy sitting there making a blade. And I looked at him. I said, "What are you making a blade for?" He says, my gimmick, I get color every night. I said, "Well, tonight you fucking don't."
Right.
And he looked at me real crazy. I mean, that was You know, people don't understand. That's not a joke.
Right.
That's something to draw money with, and they don't. It's not out there to impress your girlfriend. All right. He said, "Oh yes, I am." I said, he was on the first match, and I done been paid. You hear me? I got the promoter. I said, "Come in here." I said, "See this guy right here?" He said he's on first. He's getting color. If he gets color, I will get in my car and go home. Because him getting color, he don't know what the hell he's doing. He don't know what it's about. He damn sure don't know what it's for. And what I'm trying to tell you guys, getting color in our match was to make money. It wasn't no game, you know. My head is full of scars, and a lot of guys that's in the business that even work on top of it, they don't know what it's even about. Don't know what it's for. But that's what it's about. That's the way we fed families. That's the way it was a sacred thing. Our business was so sacred, and I tell guys all the time now, go watch some of the matches of us in Mid-South against the Midnight Express, and go watch them against us, Ole and Arn and the Four Horsemen, me against Ric Flair and us against the Russians. Because at that time, you never seen the hills. You were separated. Our business was so sacred, you never even got your finish until 9 out of 10 times, you didn't get your finish until you got in the ring. You didn't go over a match. You didn't do it. I tell you when to watch the Houston Coliseum, Robert and I, with the greatest referee, and I'm bouncing around here.
No, you're fine.
A good referee can make a bad match good, and a bad referee can make a good match suck.
Right.
Ronnie West is refereeing the match. Ronnie learned from my dad. He was Ronnie West is the greatest referee to ever be in this business. Him and Tommy Young. But just go watch it and watch this match. And we never went over nothing. Ronnie gave us the finish when we got into the ring. And that's the way our business was. That's how sacred it was. You know, we didn't go back there, let's do this high spot, let's do this high spot. Right. And that's what I do at my wrestling school. Every now and then I have some guys come in that are pretty good, and I tell them, get in the ring. I say, I want you to get in the ring and have a match. Okay, let me just go. I says, no, don't want that. I want you to have a match without calling nothing. And that's the way it is. That's what we do, bud. And then when you learn how to do that, you become how to work in our business. Man, I absolutely love this business. There's nothing better an enjoyment in my life as being a part of the wrestling business. I met some of the most incredible people in the world, some of the greatest personalities in the world. And I grew up in this business. My dad was a wrestler, then a referee out of Memphis. And it's just what I am, but I'm not here to try to tell you that I done it. But I will tell you this: in my time, I was the greatest wrestler in the world. And if you don't believe me, just ask me.
Well, I think you'd have a lot of people that would back you up on that. And, you know, like what you said, when I was, Bill Dundee was one of my trainers when I was wrestling. And he actually told me one time, he's like, when you call it all in the back, you're not listening to the crowd. And if you're not listening to the crowd, you're not giving them what they want.
Yes, you're damn right there, buddy. And that's it. Bill told you that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Bill gave me my first break in the business. You know that, don't you? Bill was the booker for Louisiana.
Yes, sir.
And you had the fabulous ones. You had that. Bill didn't want none of them. He wanted me and Robert in the Midnight Express. And look what happened. And look what it turned into. I'm guys, and I'm here. Yes, I'm patting myself on the back. Later on in life, later on in the history of professional wrestling, Robert Gibson and Ricky Morton would go down in history for the greatest tag team matches in the world against the Midnight Express. And I'm serious. It'd go down in the history books. Just go back and watch some of those matches, guys. And you know what? I can't even remember. And remember, when you're watching them, everything was called in the ring.
Well, I tell you, Mr. Morton, I don't know if we're going to be able to follow that. Guys, go and check out his show every Sunday, 5:05 Eastern, School of Morton on YouTube every Sunday. Mr. Morton, we can't say enough what an honor it is to talk to you and for you to be here with us today.
Hey, bud, listen, man. Thank you. When I do these things, I help a lot of guys that are on the independent circuit that can't pay their bills. Truly, I do. You hear what I'm saying? It's not about me. It's about a lot of other people. I want to tell you, thank you guys for having me on your show. It's an absolute pleasure. Tell Danny Davis that I love him. Grew up with him in the business, too. We all did. Gentlemen, if the music's too loud, you're too damn old. Have a good night.
All right, that was pretty cool right there, right? I mean,
man,
you okay over there?
Dude,
you done
like
jittering
I said,
around?
I literally, we just talked to Superman.
Yeah?
Dude, like I said, the greatest tag team ever.
Hands a little shaky.
Oh, they are, and that's fine.
You want to be one of those fans like we talked about that sends him something awkward now?
Well, I mean,
if I want to send him a hair doll, I'll send him a hair doll. I love you, Ricky Morton.
No, man, Ricky was so
yeah.
cool, dude. And I am so relieved. I am so relieved that, like you said, in the open, this wasn't an occasion to, this wasn't a Johnny Bench.
No.
I mean, Ricky was
and
super
I knew it
cool.
wouldn't be.
And yeah, I know you had met him a few times before, but
Yeah.
man, God almighty.
I didn't get a chance to tell him thank you because, like I said before, he if he's listening back to this and he's made it this far, what's that look for? Well, usually I turn off podcasts that I'm on if I'm done. Like if my part's over, I don't listen to what they say.
I'm letting it roll over on SoundCloud, baby. It does that. You never know what they're going to do.
Yeah. So, but no, I mean, I didn't get to tell him thank you because whenever I was working here at the fair in Jackson, he was one of the guys, him and Bobby Eaton.
You running the Ferris wheel or
Who,
what were
me?
you doing? Yeah.
Oh, no, I was wrestling.
Oh, okay. You said you were working at the fair.
I was wrestling at the fair.
I'm with you now.
Boy, like he was going to come
Come
up.
on
Like,
up, get you a bear. Throw the darts.
Bobby
for the bear.
comes up. We really admire the way you're working that scrambler right there. No, I wasn't a carny. I'm saying when I was wrestling
you put this
at the
thing
fair.
together, is the zipper okay to ride?
No, when I was wrestling, he came up to me, watched my match, and he actually gave me some pointers afterwards. And, hey, when you do this, do that. Hey, when you do this, don't do this, do that.
Right.
And I was impressed. Like, he didn't have to do that.
That's
you know what I mean?
saying. That shows you what kind of man Ricky Morton is.
Yeah.
He didn't gain anything from the situation. He was just trying to help out a young guy.
And like I said, go and watch his show. It's really outstanding. We've got a friend that is over there. I didn't get a chance to tell him that either. Dan Matthews is his wrestling name. I think he's helping out with some of the School of Morton stuff. Really cool guy.
In the training aspect?
Yeah,
and
and actually we were in a tag team together, and he was trained by Ken. So
Ken Wayne.
Yes. So we were in a small, like very short run tag team in Ripley when we wrestled. And, but really good guy. I talk to him every once in a while. Great sense of humor. We'll have to have him on sometime too.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
School of Morton once again comes on YouTube every Sunday, 5:05 Eastern, 4:05 Central. I can't check your local listings. It's YouTube.
Check YouTube.
But just go to YouTube. I'm sure all the shows are still there. Great show. And what else would you expect from somebody like Ricky Morton running the show? I mean, if you can't learn from Ricky Morton, you can't learn. And I mean, just period. So, like I said, we were blown away. Josh, any closing words for today?
I think I said it all, man.
Did you get all your questions out that you wanted to ask, or were you
did.
too nervous to ask them?
I got them all out.
Got them all out. I didn't ask him about the scaffold match either.
I think he's covered that in other interviews.
Yeah.
So
we try to do questions that we don't normally get. I know we've
Right.
probably asked some repeat ones here. I don't think I've ever heard him, say anything about the strangest thing he got from a
the
fan.
only
or
thing
anything
that
like
I didn't, I'm a liar. The
Yeah.
only thing that I didn't get out was I wanted to ask him about the boogeyman, Mario Galento, man.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, did he ever have any run-ins with him? I guess we can get him back on for another round.
Yeah.
And go over some Memphis stuff and dissect that territory or something. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, it'd be really cool to go like minute by minute day by day or year by year into the territories and see where they were at and everything. Kind of like what
Right.
your uncle had with that book, his little
The ledger.
that he wrote all his matches down
Every
in.
wrestler from the day had those ledgers. I've seen screenshots of Dutch Mantell. He had the exact same ledgers, where they kept their little hotel receipts and what town they worked in.
It was for tax purposes, right?
Yeah, and which, the tax man may come a knocking, especially back in that day.
Oh, man.
So, but yeah, I've got all those ledgers from, let's see, it's 84, 85, 86 from my uncle. And the only reason that I had wanted to maybe try to get him back on and go through day by day is because, man, you know how a good weekend is in wrestling.
Yeah.
If you wrestle more than once,
Right.
imagine doing that 7 days a week. It would be like asking, what did you do on March 25th, 1985?
Right.
I'm afraid to just be a blur.
Well, that too. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Because even me being a weekend warrior that only had like matches on the weekends, like I couldn't imagine.
They all kind of run together.
Yeah, they all kind of run together. I couldn't imagine doing this
7 days.
7 days straight. Or going from territory. I mean, if you asked me about March 20th of 2009 or 2010, I'd be like, I don't have a clue. I don't know. What did we do?
Right.
Well, that's pretty cool. We did that,
You got the bullet points up there, and that's about all that matters.
Yeah, I've got all
anyways.
the major accomplishments and stuff that I did. Like I said, the fact that Ricky Morton watched my match was a major accomplishment.
Right.
So that stuff I remember,
the fact that he felt that he needed to tell you what you needed to do and what you shouldn't do
right.
probably meant that he's seen something in you.
Could be like that Terry Funk thing. I didn't see shit in him. No, it was really cool that he did that. And but yeah, man, that's going to do it for us, Josh. If people are just listening to our show for the first time and they want to learn more about our show, or if they want to contact us on Facebook, Twitter, or give us a phone call or a text or an email, how do they do that?
Well, lads, if you're on Twitter, we are at P3Radio1. And if you want to get with us on Facebook, put in that search bar Pop Poncho and you'll see our picture pop up. And if you want to get with us the old school way, send us a text, maybe a voicemail. We might play it on the show. You never know. Our phone number is 731-300-6675.
And that is 24 hours a day. You can also send us an email at p3radio1@gmail.com. And like I said, that number, 24 hours a day, you can call it anytime you want. Prank call us if you want to. We don't care. Just something fun to do, and we'd play it on the show for you. But that's going to do it for us. That's going to be our time. For Josh Brawley, this is Richard Mulligan saying thanks for listening, and good night.